Hello everyone, in this video I'll be ranking the best elixirs in Baldur's Gate 3 on a tier list. So, elixirs will last until your next long rest, and they also use a bonus action, so some of them can be very good in combat, whereas others you just want to have active all the time. So I'll be covering every single one of these here, as there's some that are extremely good, and I'll be ranking them on this tier list. So, I guess first things first, we have the Potion of Arcane Cultivation. This gives us a free level 1 spell slot, and a level 1 spell slot's pretty nice, but again, at the end of the day, it's still just a level 1 spell slot, so I'll put it in the C tier because it's useful, but there's things like this Shield of Devotion that will give you a free level 1 spell slot, and you can use and remove the shield and keep getting the free spell slots. So there's other ways to get spell slots, so this one's alright. But next we got the Greater Arcane Cultivation, which gives you a level 2 spell, so obviously 2 is better than 1, so we're going to put it in the B tier. But now we're getting into some heavy hitters here. So the next one we got is the Battle Mage's Power, and this is great because it gives you 3 stacks of Arcane Acuity, which is usually lost every single turn, or if you take damage you'll lose 2 stacks of it. But this version of Arcane Acuity actually stays until next long rest, so you get +3 to your spell attack rolls and spell save DC, making this a very good spell, or a very good elixir, honestly. And for any caster that's missing their shots, take one of these. It'll make it a whole lot easier to hit your shots because a +3 makes a big difference. I would say since the stacks don't go away, this is actually probably a high A to, I'm just going to put it in the S tier because some builds will rely heavily on being able to hit the target. So yeah, if you got like a multi-class and you're doing multi-attribute dependent builds, like adding in the wizard, adding this potion will give you a +3 to your attack, spell attack rolls, and spell save DC, making it like you took an extra +3 to your intelligence. So that is actually very, very good. And the fact that it doesn't get lost after each turn in combat is also very great. Next, we got the Elixir of Bloodlust, and this is really good too because when you eliminate an enemy target, it gives you 5 temporary health points. That's whatever, but the big benefit is you get an additional action. So for a fighter, that means 3 more attacks. For any casters, that means another spell. The Elixir of Bloodlust it's better than the Battle Mage's Power. It's in contention for the best elixir in the game because getting an extra action is extremely useful because, I mean, it's a game about the action economy. If you can take out an enemy and get an extra action, that's more attacks that you just wouldn't straight up have. So for a fighter, again, they can go attack, take out a target, they go attack, and then they get their free extra action to do 3 more attacks. So this can be very great for pretty much, I don't think there's any build that doesn't benefit from the Bloodlust potions. They are crafted with a Warg Fang, so you can craft them with the ashes of the Warg Fang whenever you're doing some alchemy here. So if you were to craft that, it would look something. I guess I don't have the ingredients here, but you do need to have the Warg ashes from the Warg Fang. So yeah, it's extremely useful though because getting an extra action is massive. But in honor mode, I just want to make a little sub note here that the extra attacks don't actually proc off the extra action. So that is one thing to note if you're going, and same thing with haste in honor mode. You don't get that extra, you don't get 6 attacks in honor mode. So it does lose a little bit of potency there, but it's actually pretty decent on a caster because that just means another spell. So take that into consideration when you're playing your next honor mode playthrough. But we got next the Cloud Giant Strength Potion, which is my personal favorite. So I'll show you what that looks like because I use them often because it sets your strength to 28, giving you a +8 to strength checks. Where this gets absolutely crazy is on monk builds that use Tavern Brawler, because it'll add your strength modifier twice to the damage and attack rolls, meaning you get a +16 to damage and a +16 to attack rolls. You don't miss if you're a Tavern Brawler using these strength potions. So yeah, it'll set your strength into 27. That also gives you a really nice carry capacity, so you can carry up to 310 pounds. And yeah, you should farm these whenever possible because they're just that good. So find the vendors that sell them and just continually visit them. You can even respec a character, and then once they level up, it'll refresh the inventory so you can continue to check for more and more of the Cloud Giant potions. They're really good for a number of reasons, but you can also get a very far jump distance with them. So you can't naturally get your strength this far without the strength potion. So makes them a very useful one because it just opens things up. They're mostly beneficial on classes that take advantage of strength. And even weapons like if we look at the Baldur and Giant Slayer, which is an Act 3 weapon, what it does is it adds the strength modifier. It adds your strength modifier twice to the damage rolls. So it can get pretty nasty in terms of the damage output. So the Cloud Giant strength potions, I might even say they're better than Bloodlust, because some builds are extremely OP with this, like the Monk level 9 with 3 levels of Rogue Thief, because their bonus actions will allow them to punch twice, allowing you to hit twice with that extra huge amount of strength. The Cloud Giant potions are extremely useful, so yeah, that goes in the high S tier. Next, we got the Elixir of the Colossus. So this gives you the enlarged status, so this gives you a larger size, which has some benefits and some drawbacks, as some weapons will deal extra damage to enlarged foes. Your weapons will deal an additional 1d4 of damage, and you get advantage on stealth checks and saving throws. This is pretty good, but I don't know if enlarged is super... I mean, it is nice because it will last until long rest, so that's one benefit of it. If you want to have an enlarged creature, you can literally just have it until long rest. An additional 1d4 damage is nice, but I feel like some of the others are a bit more beneficial. I might just put it in the A tier, though, because sometimes it's nice to just have a very large Carlock running around. So, yeah, I'll put it up into the A tier. Next, we have the Potion of Dark Vision. Now, it's so easy to find Dark Vision. There's like a endless amount of options for gear that will give you Dark Vision, like the Assassin of Baal cowl. Yeah, the Savarok's helm. The Steel Watch will give you the ability to see in the dark up to 12 meters and can't be blinded. So there are ways to get the ability to see in the dark. So it's not super necessary, but it could have some usefulness because it is a bonus action. So if you're in darkness and you need to get a quick, easy dark vision, the potion's there for a bonus action. So I'll put it in the bottom of the C tier. It is useful, but just not as useful as some other ones. But next we got the Elixir of Gilful Movement. So what this does is it gives you basically just freedom of movement. Now, one little note about freedom of movement is you can have someone at your camp like Jahara just hang out and cast this on everyone in your team and then unassign them from your party. So, I mean, freedom of movement's nice, but I would say its biggest usefulness is, let's say you got restrained in combat. You can't do anything. You're stuck in spot and you need to move. Bonus action. See you later. You can get moving again. So for that, I'll probably say it's a B tier choice because, well, it's not the most effective potion. It still has some spots where it's extremely nice just to get that movement speed back. But next we got the Elixir of Barkskin. I don't like this. Barkskin's an okay spell. It sets your armor class to 16. The only issue is it's stuck at 16. So if you were to take this and then use Shield of Faith, that +2 doesn't exist. It's stuck at 16. So it can have some usefulness, but just respec your class if you don't have 16 armor class. You can find ways to get that. I don't think it's worth taking, especially if you have anything above 16. It's basically useless, and it'll actually lower your armor class. So, I mean, there might be some ways you could use this with like a Armor of Agathis build to inflict the cold damage on the enemy. I'm sure there's ways you can make this useful, but I think as a whole, for most players, 16 armor class just isn't cutting it. But yeah, next we got the Elixir of Heroism, and this one's actually solid because it gives you 10 temporary health points, and it gives you the effects of Bless. What makes that so great is you can actually get it very early on the game, right as soon as you visit the Druid Grove, because Mole sells these. So 10 temporary health points, not crazy, but Bless is nice, and it lasts until long rest. So I would say this is probably like I'll put it probably top of the B tier because early on in the game, that's just super useful. So yeah, it's a good one. I would say B tier. Next, we got the Hill Giant Strength. The Cloud Giant gives you 27. This gives 21. Now, Auntie Ethel will usually sell around 3 of these, so you can spam her to get these potions for early game builds as it sets your strength to 21, allowing you to just dump your strength. I was going to say this is A tier, but I actually think it's S tier because you can find them easier than the Cloud Giant Strength potions. And the big benefit being, it works on a lot of builds. Early on in the game, you're not likely to get 20 strength, but with this potion, you can. So on a fighter, they can dump their strength, put those points into dexterity for the armor class as well as initiative, put it into constitution for overall health, and they can dump their strength. So Hill Giant Strength potions, super useful. They're really easy to find too, so I think that's one of the best benefits of it. So buy every single one of these that you see. Any of these top ones, buy them all. Next, we got the Elixir of Peerless Focus. So this gives advantage on concentration saves against being charmed, and for holding concentration on spells. as well as magic can't put you to sleep. So, I mean, advantage on charmed is okay. Can't be put to sleep is nice. But advantage on the concentration saves is really the biggest thing for a lot of casters. Like a constitution saving throw, you can get the amulet of greater health in act 3 that'll give you the this gives you advantage on constitution saving throw checks. But early on in the game, Peerless Focus, pretty good. I would say it's an A tier because holding concentration on spells is super important. If you're a cleric, that means you get to hold your spirit guardians, call lightning, etc. So very good. Next, we got resistance potions. Now, there's a potion of acid, cold, force, radiant, thunder, acid, poison, necrotic. These are good, but very specific. I feel like it's probably like a B to C tier. Like I'll put it in the B tier because you could have some big brain plays with like fire resistance in the House of Hope. But I mean, there's also armors that give resistances. There's the Ranger gives resistances. They're good, but very specialized to specific encounters. In honor mode, though, that's probably like A tier because it can make or break some encounters. Next, we got a potion of sea invisibility, and that's a solid one. I mean, being able to see invisible creatures as a bonus action is actually quite nice. If you're in combat and you see someone go invisible, like there's a lot of fights in Act 2 and 3 where there's invisible foes and you just can't see them. But the potion of sea invisibility as a bonus action allows you to just go up and punch them in the face. So I would say it's probably like it's B to A tier. Like I'll put it in the A tier because that bonus action, being able to see them, is massive, especially if you have like no way of hitting them otherwise. Another cool thing, here's a little pro tip. If you see someone go invisible in a group and you don't know where they're at, use Create Water, and it'll, 1, make them wet so you can apply lightning and cold damage, but 2, it'll reveal their position. So Create Water, underrated spell. Next, we got Superior Arcane Cultivation and Supreme Arcane Cultivation. So level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4 spell slots. I might even just put this one up to... it's hard to say a level 4 spell S tier. I'll put them both into the... I'll put them maybe at the top of the A tier. They're great. Being able to get an extra spell slot is really nice, especially if you got ways like of getting your sorcery points to replenish your spell slots. So that can be good. I'll put them in the A tier just for that, because extra spells, big thumbs up from Jay Dunna. Next, we got the Tadpole Elixir. This is interesting. It gives you Psionic Weakening, which gives you disadvantage on Constitution, Wisdom, Intelligence saving throws, but it also gives you Psionic Enrichment, which gives you advantage on all attacks for 3 rounds after using a Tadpole power. So there's pros and there's cons. With that, I would say it's probably B tier, because that is useful, yes, don't get me wrong. It's nice to be able to... Advantage on attack rolls is really great. However, getting disadvantage on Constitution, Wisdom, and Intelligence saving throws is pretty rough at certain points in the game. So, yeah, I would probably put it in the B tier. Next, we got, this is Elixir of Universal Resistance. However, this acts like a potion. It only lasts for 10 turns. All these last until long rest. This one lasts until 10 turns are up. But it gives you resistance to all damage types. Now, that's pretty good. So, I'll still put it in the S tier because resistance to all damage types is actually fantastic. The Bearheart Barbarian doesn't even get all damage resistance. The Bearheart has resistance to all damage types except Psychic. So this one's a little bit better. Bonus action, 10 turns. Pretty nice. I guess the next two, we got I'll talk about the Elixir of Vigilance here, which gives you +5 to initiative and cannot be surprised. Initiative is everything. This actually works fantastically on a druid because with initiative, you roll your initiative at the start of combat. Whenever you wild shape as a druid, you lose all your benefits from armor class, your gear, etc., unless otherwise stated. With this, you don't lose your initiative. So, I mean, for a druid, it's probably S tier, but everyone else, I would still even say it's probably S tier for most classes. I'll put it at the bottom of the S tier. Plus, I mean, alert. This is basically the alert perk, which is a fantastic perk, by the way, or feat, by the way. Really, really useful. So, there's many times in the game where you can get surprised. I mean, in honor mode, if you get surprised, that could be the end of your run. So, this is good for preventing a really quick end to your run. So, I would have to say it's S tier for that reason. And finally, we got the Elixir of Viciousness. Now, what this does is it gives you so the number you need to roll a critical hit is reduced by 1, which, that's great. I would probably say for a crit fishing build, this is essential because it gives you a plus 5% chance of critical hit. And it's the only way you can get a very, very high critical hit chance. So, somewhere's in the A tier there, I'd say. It's great if you want to hit critical hits. Even if you can put that on really anyone that's doing attack rolls or spell attack rolls, and it'll be useful. So, there it is. There is the best elixirs in Baldur's Gate 3. My personal favorites being Cloud Giant Strength and the Bloodlust. But the Battle Mage's power is interesting in that it doesn't lose its stacks. And the rest of these, very good. So, there it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, let me know what kind of tier list you would like to see next in Baldur's Gate 3. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video fun. And if you did, hit that subscribe button below. And I'll see you all in the next video.